Hey guys, we have the brand new HTC Desire 516c dual SIM out here today. Now 516 was released a few months before, but then 516c, which is the CDMA version, now CDMA plus GSM, the earlier was GSM plus GSM. The CDMA plus GSM version was launched recently. You'll get it for just under 13,000 online and probably in some shop around about 13,000, slightly more maybe on a brick and mortar shop. So that's the box. Comes in a fairly non-pretentious box, and the moment you open it you will see the device out here. We'll come to the device just in a bit. You'll have the 1 ampere wall adapter and then your micro USB 2.0 USB charger. You would also get the earphones and the manuals, but our review device did not contain it. HTC generally is inconsistent with the accessories that they provide to reviews, but that's okay. So there we have the device out here, the HTC Desire 516. It writes 516, but it's actually the 516c, the shining device out there. So you have a 5-inch screen and QHD, that's a small QHD display, that meaning 540 by 960 pixels of resolution. It's powered by Snapdragon 200 1.2 GHz quad-core processor, which is pretty old, 1 GB of RAM, and you have only 4 GB internal storage. It supports micro SD card that can go up to 32 GB of additional storage. It's very glossy on the front, so it will attract fingerprints. There you see immediately it attracts fingerprints. Even the back is glossy. It's all plastic body, no metal whatsoever. The black, however, has a very nice shimmering glow to it that kind of gives that slight premium feeling to the device. 5-inch, as I told you, 540 by 960 pixels of resolution. We don't know if it's protected by any Gorilla Glass or other kind of glasses. You have a very modest 0.3 MP front camera, which is fixed focus, of course, and you have the earpiece there and the sensors and stuff, and then you see the soft cut keys right there. Then your volume rocker here below, you have the hole to open the back flap and your mouthpiece, the power button. On top you have the micro USB 2.0 port and the 3.5mm jack. Behind you have the 5 MP autofocus camera accompanied by an LED flash. This camera can record a max of 720p videos, HTC branding and the speaker grill out there. You can of course open the back flap from here. The back is quite tough plastic, I would say, and inside it houses a 1950 mAh battery. And there you see 2 SIM card slot, both full size plus a micro SD card slot. Now SIM 1 is CDMA, supports e-video network, and this one is a GSM, your regular GSM SIM, so it supports your Edge GSM network. So overall, well, it's a typical consumer device, 9.7 mm thick, so definitely not the thinnest device in the market, 160 gram, again not the lightest device in the market. It looks good, but not exactly your style statement, As I told you before, the 516c is a very modest display device, 5-inch and 540 by 960 pixels, so things kind of go pixelated. They are not exactly, it's bright enough, but things are not exactly crisp enough. However, that also helps in extending the battery life, because the screen is the one that actually takes up most of the battery, and because it's a low-res screen, it eats that much less battery. When you go one of the pictures out there, you can see the LCD screen. It has a good, an average viewing angle, but about at 45 degree the reflections start to take over, and almost here you can't see anything. So I would say just about average, you almost can't see anything from here because it's all a reflection. Overall an average display, but the display is never a forte of the 516c anyway. So this guy is powered by Android 4.3 Jelly Bean. Again, not the latest one, and you have the very familiar lock screen out there. It also supports widgets. So when you go out here, you can add your widgets out there. You can also straight away go to the camera right from here, and when you unlock, you can go to there. See, that's the blink feed, and then you can add multiple home pages out there. You can also set your blink feed on or off, and you can add your widgets out there. You can also do the same by long pressing the empty space on your home page, and then you have some of your apps out there that you can see. So we'll go to settings, and your usual settings. You see the dual SIM settings, CDMA plus GSM storage. So out of 4 GB, you have roughly about just under 2 GB available. You have some games and other media stored out here, that's why it's less. And then in about phone, you can see 4.3 Jelly Bean, and your notification bar and the quick function toggle bar. Yeah, so let's quickly go ahead and check out some of the apps and tools. So you have your dialer, which is a pretty big dialer, by the way, and then you can go to the messaging app, and typical HTC Sense keyboard out there. It also supports swipe, by the way, so you can just go this, nothing wired. Is the world's, it also predicts your world's best website. Cool. And then you have your default browser, and we did an HTML test, and we found that it scores pretty modest. Again, average 323 out of 555. But go to the camera. There's the 5 MP autofocus camera, and it's not very fast. If I do this, it takes some time acquiring focus, and then click the photo. So it's not exactly lag free. It takes about a second, I would say, before it starts clicking on another photo. You have some settings, very extensive settings, really, picture quality and JSL and storage position. Then you can also go there, you can switch on or off HDR, and then some of the other things, contrast, saturation, sharpness, there, see the other white balance and exposures and whatnot, and then switch between the front and the back camera, which again takes some time. You can start your video and panorama shots right from here. You see, you can actually take still just by touching on the screen, but you cannot pause the video, by the way. Back camera, the 5 MP camera, for a 5 MP camera, clicks very good and very detailed photograph. We've seen under enough light, the pictures are quite sharp on your screen. They are shockingly sharp. I mean, we didn't expect photos of that good quality. The saturation and hue are very natural. However, when you zoom them to 100%, you obviously see noise and artifacts, mainly due to the very small sensor, which cannot gather so much of data. On the low light, however, the detail drops significantly, expectedly. The same thing is true for video as well. The videos are fine. There's no fuzziness, there's softness overall, but that's okay. And under low light, again, even on video, the details drop significantly. So typical, like stock Android galleries, you can go to one photo and you can do some basic editing and stuff. You cannot batch edit photos, however you can batch share them. And the touch response is not exactly feather touch. At times you need to give that deliberate push. So let's listen to some songs. So keeping on a flat surface, well, it obstructs the audio to some extent, but not to an alarming extent. The sound output via speaker I see is just about loud enough, maybe not for the crowded places. The bass is again just about there, but not exactly to that pleasant level. The treble is also quite average. Actually, treble is good, I think. It's just crackling a bit at the highest volume, you see? You could hear that just before. You could hear it here. It's just starting to shudder a bit. So let's go ahead and check out how video looks and feels and sound like. So that's our 720p video clip and average viewing angle. You see, you almost cannot see anything on a night scene on a video. So let's go ahead and increase the brightness and let's see what happens. So when you have the brightness out here, increase the brightness, and then where is my video trigger? It definitely gets better.
Did you see that? I just was like, what? You guys, did you see that? I just was like, what?
The vocal sounds are good actually, but the black, again, due to very low resolution, are not exactly dark black. They are pretty grey. Not grey, brownish. There's also slight discoloration out here, again due to the low resolution screen. Metallic sheen is fine though. But the voice output or the mid-range vocal is quite pleasant. Yeah. Then what else you have? You have the file explorer, calendar. Of course, you have the typical Google, Android apps. There's some of these apps you may not get. May not come with the device. Some we have downloaded and all. So overall, it's a modestly smooth device. It does not always lag. It does not always run very smooth. So if you have a lot of background apps, you're doing things, trying to do things fast and everything, then it of course lags. But if you use it, at a moderate level, I would say at a average to moderate level, then it would run maybe just about fine. But anything above moderate, and this guy will start to just give in a bit. So should you get the HTC Desire 516C? I would see it as one of the best CDMA supported phones. So if you're on CDMA network, no doubt this could just be the most latest phone that supports CDMA. And HTC has a record of supporting CDMA and the global network. So this is pretty good. And you would see that the antenna actually gets the signal and everything pretty nice, all AA video. We also got a pretty good network speed in A-Video Plus. That's also quite good. And the battery also lasted about 8 hours, just over 8 hours of moderate to heavy usage, which is also pretty decent. Under 13,000 you had the Mi3, which is not selling anymore. You have the Moto G, which is actually, I think, a much better device than this one. The new Moto G is stellar. It has the latest Android 4.4.4. It also has a 5-inch screen, and it's much faster than this guy. I think the camera on this guy is slightly better than the one on the Moto G. You also have Asus Zenfone 5, which is again another very good device. So the Desire 516C actually has very tough competition as far as GSM network is concerned. So if I take into consider, if you have on only GSM network, then well, I would probably recommend some other device like one of the Moto G and Asus Zenfone 5, because they are more latest, more updated than this one. Not necessarily better looking. However, if you're on a CDMA network, then this is a definite go. If you like this video, please hit the like button, ask anything related to this phone, and we'll try to answer them all. And please subscribe to our channel for more such awesome content in future. Thank you.